All right, it's been a while since I've posted anything video-wise here, and as you have been kicked out of my old studio, which is now an office here at the Calcareous Winery. So, hey, it's middle of January, probably one of the best times to come visit Calcareous because, you know, it's middle of January and it looks like this, I'm dressed like this. It's a little secret here on the central coast of California that January is one of the most pleasant, generally, generally rain-free. We tend to get our December storms, and then February, March, a lot of storms. January, at least for like the last 5-6 years here, has been pretty clear and clean and just kind of beautiful weather like this. So, just show you guys out that. If you look out behind me, that is actually our Devil's Canyon Syrah, and the 2022 vintage has begun, as just this morning they finished pruning the vineyard, which is kind of the starting point. We have, bud break will be the official starting point of the vintage, but basically vintage has begun. But what this video is, and what I'd like to talk about today, is a new release wine that's coming out. It went out to our wine club members, and now it's going to be coming out to the general public here next week, and that is one of my personal favorite blends and wines that I make here, the Messer. Yes, the 2019 Messer. So the Messer, a blend every year of Malbec and Cab Franc. This year, 54% Malbec, 46 Cab Franc. Generally right around 50-50. And that's, the reason for that is the reason for the blend, is it really works well together, these two varietals. The Malbec it's very dark. It's very dark skinned. It looks impressive in the glass. And it is impressive, and it has weight, and it has a lot of tannin, but it's generally rounded, and the fruit is a lot more luscious fruit, like blackberry, kind of rich, softer fruit. Cab Franc tends to be not as dark. Hopefully I don't want to look as dark. Cab Franc tends to be a little lighter in color. But the tannic structure and the acidic structure, much more, I wouldn't say extreme, but much more pronounced with Cab Franc. So you get a lot more angularity to the tannins. And angularity, is that more fancy winemaker talk? Kind of. But basically what it means is, angles have sharp points and stuff. And so that's, when you say something that has more angular tannins, a little more bite, a little more, points to them where you can feel the tannins, a little more sharpness. Whereas the Malbec is so round. So by putting those two together, I've always kind of loved how they play together. My goal as a winemaker is always to have this very full flavor profile. You want not just one style of it all, but you want to really envelop the palate, give you a little bit of everything to it. And this is, with these two varietals, is a very simple way of doing it. So, haven't tasted this actually in about 2.5 months, like right before the wine club tasting notes and stuff like that. I was visiting it quite often. It's been a while, so I kind of felt like all of our 2019s, they're definitely going to get better and better and better. If you go back to any of my videos here where I talk about aging, I'm not a huge believer in like aging wine makes better. But I think in this case, these wines are gaining complexity as they age. They're very, very big wines. It's such a great vintage. They're a little too powerful in youth. I remember like a year ago in barrel, they're like really overwhelming. They're starting to calm down, and now you're starting to be able to pick out the nuances. Sometimes when things are so bright, it's so washed out, your palate can't quite discern everything because it's all so loud. But as it starts to calm down and quiet, the shapes and the different textures, everything starts to reveal itself here. And so by aging this, I don't mean this needs to sit down for 10 years, but it just needed to calm down, and it's getting quite calm now. And you definitely tell that in the nose. The nose is developing. That's one thing that happens in the bottle, is all those esters, all those light molecules that are gonna effervesce off of the glass and get into your nose and fill your sense of smell. Those concentrate over time because they get trapped in the bottle, and then you pop the cork, they all get to fly out of there, and then that's why you give a swirl to really release a lot of that and get that nose. And yeah, really starting to get fruit. It was a little closed off a while ago, and I just popped this cork maybe half hour ago, so yeah, just starting to open up. This will be something that will even open up even more by tomorrow. You just pulled the cork and had one little glass tonight, and then wait for tomorrow. It'll really be shining. That's about, I would send just a little pro tip about calcareous wines. Definitely can hang in there 2-3 days in the bottle after you pull the cork. So it's not one of those pull the cork, better drink it tonight type of wines. I think the wines tend to peak about 24 hours after pulling that cork. The third day, still drinkable. I would think it's starting to lose a little bit by that third day, but it's not like bad. It's not unhappy about it. But I really think after about 24 hours after the cork is out, if you're not decanting, if you're decanting into a big decanter, that speeds the process up, thus the decanter. Look at that. Can't see it. Can't really see through that, can you? Look at that. That's a dark wine, and you taste and feel that darkness right over the top, right away. There's a richness and a weight, and that's that Malbec. But a lot of times, when I taste a wine like that, and I'm like, uh-oh, this is way over extracted. They really went with the big glove here, the big power punch, and it's just gonna dominate you for a while. That's where the Cab Franc blending comes in. It really sharpens up and clarifies itself in the mid palate into the finish to making something quite clean and not overwhelming. I mean, that right up front, you're like, oh man, this is gonna just ruin everything. Won't be able to taste my food. And then that Cab Franc, those sharper tannins, they kick alive the saliva glands. They get just everything kind of working again, and you can actually taste and feel and smell. It was quite frankly one of the happiest I've been with the Messer blend. It's always been something I've been working at. It was one of those peanut butter chocolate moments that I had in the winery, where you're just putting blends together. Generally was putting the Lloyd together, which is all 5 Bordeaux varietals, and had the Malbec and the Cab Franc, and just well, let's start with the base of this, and then we'll start adding in the Merlot and the Cab Sauv, and then you just start with that base, and I taste it, I was like, wow, that's pretty much there. We don't really need to tweak this that much. These two can build this. And so I've been playing with the Messer blend for a long time, and putting it out for years. Is always one of my favorite challenges because it is a simplistic perfection. I'm not trying to overdo it. You're just all right, with these two, it's a little bit more, my job's a little more comprehensible when you can just working with 2 things. When you start to work with 5, 6, making these massive blends, you start tweaking tiny little things, and it can become a little unfocused, or at least it takes more effort to maintain the focus. This, just with the 2, I really enjoy working with that because it's very straightforward, and how to work with the level so easily, especially when they're contrasting elements like Malbec and Cab Franc. They really offer such a unique thing that, bringing their own unique flavor to the table, to the glass, that, it's easy to play with that. It's easy to make a really good blend. And that's really the key to me, is just the sensation on the palate. Just the feel of the wine. The feel is just about perfect. It's got the richness, it's got the weight, but not over the top. It's really my kind of personal happy zone with wine, where you get that initial flavor burst and you get all of that freshness and the fruit and that tannic structure, but then it just doesn't beat you over the head and keep going and going and going. That it actually cleans itself up, and it actually has a real nice mid palate to finish. Yeah, really happy with that. I think it's living up to the namesake. If you didn't know, Messer, that is our owner, Dana Brown. It's her maiden name and her father's name, and Lloyd and Dana. Lloyd Messer and Dana, they started Calcareous. And Dana's still the owner of Calcareous. So I wanted to, honor the family name Messer. And Messer is German for sword. I mean, wait, get ahead of myself. It's German for knife. But looking into it and just doing, classic internet research on the name and stuff like that, you came up with this idea that there was actually, if you can see the little drawing of the sword, done by my mom. Shout out Kapinski. The Messer's sword was a little bureaucratic trick that nobles used in Germany when the sword was outlawed and became unlawful to carry a sword. So what they started doing was carrying big knives. So basically the Messer is a single bladed sword, whereas a sword has a cutting edge on both sides, and that's technically a sword. The Messer is just a big knife, and you can't make knives illegal because people got to cut things, and do things. So there was this workaround for people to carry swords, basically, because you'd only be sharp on one edge, and thus the German Messer sword was kind of invented. And that's the other little story that we kind of got in there, and just little interesting phrases about the word Messer. But yeah, so here we are again, January 19th. You couldn't be happier. As you can see, the green hills behind us after our December rains. Things are popping up. The cover crop is coming in beautifully, and really couldn't be happier at the start of how 2022 is looking. Please, if you have the ability to come out and visit Calcareous this time of year, Paso Robles, I think, shines the most in this January, February time. The hills are green, the sky is blue. It's really just a beautiful time. It's like 65 degrees and sunny. This is truly a lucky time to be here. So thanks, enjoy, and hope you can get a little bit of this Messer. There's not much of it left. It's not, one of our full production wines. We make around 500 cases of it, and a big chunk of that goes to the club, and now there's a little bit available in the tasting room, and I think in the online shop we'll start to have it so we can ship it around the country. So cheers, enjoy.